Today's news is about TikTok and a big question. Is it making kids less smart around the world? But in China, the app teaches them instead. What do you think, Peter?
Wow, Anna, that's a very interesting topic. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Daily News English Podcast. I'm Peter.
And I'm Anna. We're so happy you're here to learn English with us today, using real news stories from around the world.
That's right. Our goal is to make learning English fun and easy, so you can understand important topics step by step. Let's start with today's story about TikTok and kids.
So, Peter, that headline is quite dramatic. Shock claim. TikTok dumbing down kids globally, while China's version teaches?
It really is, Anna. It's about some big questions regarding the popular app TikTok and how it might be different around the world.
Exactly. This main idea comes from the French president Emmanuel Macron. He said something very interesting about TikTok.
He did. He suggested that China gives European kids a version of TikTok that's mostly for fun, for entertainment.
But for its own children, he believes China has a TikTok that's much more about learning.
Yes, that's his claim. He thinks there's a big difference or a disparity between the two versions of the app.
Wow. So he believes China's TikTok, which is actually called Douyin, is very educational for their own young people.
Precisely. He mentioned it has time limits for children, and the content shown to them is all about education.
So it helps them learn new things, like in school. Think of science experiments or learning English.
Exactly. That's a huge contrast to what many of us see on TikTok here, which is often viral dances and funny videos.
Right. Macron even went further, Anna. He said China understands we're in the middle of a cognitive war.
A cognitive war? That sounds a bit scary, Peter. What does that mean in simple terms?
It means a battle for people's minds, or how they think. He suggests China wants to send things abroad that dull young minds.
And dull young minds means making them less smart or less focused?
Exactly, while keeping content that makes its own young people more intelligent. It's a very strong claim.
It certainly is. So, is there really a different version of TikTok for China?
Yes, there is. It's called Douyin. It's made by the same company, ByteDance, that also owns TikTok.
So, like two different doors to the same house, but for different guests?
That's a great way to put it, Peter. Douyin started in 2016 for China, and TikTok came a year later for international users.
And what's the main difference besides the name?
Well, China has very strict rules about what people can see online. This is called censorship.
Ah, so they control what goes on the app, making sure it follows their rules?
Yes, for example, Douyin has rules against content that harms national sentiments. This means nothing that makes China look bad.
I see. And what about rules for children's use? Macron mentioned time limits.
Absolutely. China has a law on the protection of minors. This law makes apps limit how children use them.
So ByteDance, the company, has to follow these rules?
That's right. They set a 40-minute daily limit for users under 14. Plus, kids can't use the app between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m.
That's a very clear limit. So, did someone check if Macron's claims about Douyin's content were true?
Yes, a team called The Cube, a fact-checking group, actually downloaded Douyin to see for themselves.
Oh, how clever! What did they find?
They made a profile for a 13-year-old. After a few minutes, most of the videos they saw were educational.
Really? So, like actual learning content?
Yes, they saw videos showing simple science experiments, like what happens when you put an egg in vinegar.
That sounds fascinating. And what else?
Lessons in English, music, and even cooking. Parents can even choose what type of content their child sees.
So, it's really tailored for learning? That's quite different from what we typically expect from TikTok.
It is. Then they did the same test on TikTok, the international version.
And what was the result there? Was it as educational?
Not really. The under 14 version of TikTok had more fun or recreational content. Think viral dances and funny clips.
So, more entertainment and less school-like learning?
Exactly. Some of it was even described as brain rot, which just means content that isn't very useful for your brain.
Oh, I've heard that term. But isn't there some educational content on TikTok too?
Yes, of course. Many creators focus on learning, and TikTok does have a STEM feed for science, tech, engineering, and math.
That's good to know. But is that available everywhere?
Not quite. The TikTok for younger users mode, with stricter rules, is mainly in the US, not in Europe.
Ah, so there are still differences, even within the international versions.
Definitely. And it's not just about what children see. Some people think China is using TikTok as a tool of soft power.
Soft power? That's another interesting phrase. What does soft power mean?
It's about influencing other countries or people in a gentle way, not with military force, but through culture, ideas, or even popular apps.
So, like sharing their culture or way of thinking without directly telling people what to do.
Precisely. This idea became quite popular after an interview with Tristan Harris, who works to make technology more humane.
What did he say?
He pointed out the 40-minute daily screen time limit in China, saying it shows they know technology really affects kids.
And he used an example to show this difference, right?
Yes, he mentioned a survey where American kids mostly wanted to be influencers when they grew up.
And in China, what did their kids want to be?
Astronauts. A big difference, showing different aspirations.
Wow, that really highlights the contrast. So there are also worries about data in spying, right?
Yes, there are concerns that the Chinese government could access user data or even spy on other countries through TikTok.
How could that happen?
Well, China has a law called the National Intelligence Law. It says Chinese companies must help their government with intelligence work if asked.
So even if TikTok's data is stored in Europe, this law could still apply?
That's the worry. Experts say this law applies to all Chinese companies and citizens, no matter where they are in the world.
So even if the data servers are in Ireland or the UK, the company might still have to share information if the Chinese government asks?
Exactly. This has led to some European governments taking action.
What kind of action, Anna?
The European Commission and Parliament have banned TikTok from staff work phones.
So, government workers can't have TikTok on their official devices?
That's right. They did this to protect their important data from any possible cyber threats or attacks.
So, it's a security measure? A way to be safe?
Absolutely. It shows how seriously they're taking these concerns.
Wow, that's a lot to think about regarding our social media apps.
It certainly is, Peter. This topic touches on technology, education, and even world politics.
Exactly. Now, before we move on, Anna, it's a great time for our listeners to review some important words from today's story.
That's right. Now is a great time to pause and check out the vocabulary for this story. Okay, Peter, let's look at some key words. First up, we heard the word disparity.
Yes, disparity means a big difference or unlikeness between two things.
Like the disparity between TikTok in Europe and Douyin in China that we talked about.
Exactly, a clear unlikeness or imbalance.
Next, we talked about educational content.
Educational means something that teaches you or helps you learn.
Like the science experiments on Douyin, very educational and helpful for learning.
Definitely. Then there was censorship.
Oh, censorship is when a government or group controls what people can see, hear, or read.
Right. They stop certain information or content from being shared with everyone.
Like how China censors content on Douyin, making sure it follows their rules.
Spot on. How about recreational? Recreational.
Recreational means something you do for fun or relaxation.
Like playing a sport or watching those funny videos on TikTok. It's recreational content for entertainment.
For pure enjoyment. And finally, soft power.
Soft power is a way for a country to influence others not with military force, but through culture, ideas, or even popular apps.
Like how popular movies or music from one country can spread its culture and ideas to another. That's soft power.
Excellent explanations, Anna. And I hope those words help our listeners understand the story even better.
Now it's your turn, our dear listeners. We've discussed a lot today about TikTok and Douyin.
Yes, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on apps having different versions for different countries?
Do you think the content should be exactly the same everywhere? Or is it okay for it to be different depending on the country?
Take a moment to think about it. So, to quickly summarize today's story, we learned about French President Macron's claim.
He suggested that TikTok might offer more entertainment-focused content globally, while China's version, Douyin, is more educational for its own youth.
We also discussed how Douyin has strict rules, like time limits for children and government censorship of content.
And we explored the idea of soft power and concerns about data security that have led some European governments to ban TikTok on official devices.
It's a complex topic, but understanding these points helps us see the bigger picture of technology in our world.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us today on the Daily News English Podcast.
We hope you had fun learning English with us and thinking about this interesting news.
If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel for more English learning fun, and leave a comment below.
Tell us your thoughts on today's topic. We love hearing from you.
See you next time.
Bye for now.